The United Nations calls it the shadow pandemic. Over the last 2 years, cases of domestic violence rose to concerning levels across the world. It was no different here in Central Texas. I took a look at the numbers and shared the story of one woman who turned her pain into her purpose.
It's still a crime that a lot of people don't want to talk about.
Domestic violence is all around us.
Behind closed doors, millions are suffering at the hands of someone close to them.
I think that we probably all know someone. And I think that's the thing about it is domestic violence doesn't discriminate.
The numbers may come as a shock to some. Nearly 20 people every minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the U.S., according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. That adds up to 10 million men and women a year, but that number could be even higher.
When we talk about domestic violence, we can throw out statistics all day long, but there's still that kind of dark figure of crime because some of it is not reported.
But here's what we do know. Domestic violence went up during the pandemic. In Waco from 2019 to 2021, there was a 3% increase in family violence. In Temple, cases went up in 2020, then back down. Killeen saw the largest increase. From 2019 to 2021, cases jumped almost 29%.
So what we've seen, especially in the last 2 years, and especially in the last year, we've seen a 69% increase in the number of calls that we had and the number of clients.
Misty Biddick is the executive director of Aware Central Texas. The nonprofit provides financial resources to those trying to escape dangerous situations. Resources Carrie Ann Zamore Bird wished she knew about when she tried to leave an abusive relationship.
In hindsight, I see red flags from the onset of the relationship looking back. But we had a 14-year marriage, of which was domestic violence from the very beginning.
She and her ex-husband were college sweethearts. Zamore Bird says he was an officer in the military, so they moved around a lot, leaving her isolated from friends and family.
And I remember looking around at all the pictures on the wall and thinking to myself, this is not real. Right? This image that we had created, it's not real.
Even though she was suffering, it took her a while for her to realize she was, in fact, a victim.
When you think about a victim of domestic violence, you don't think about individuals with master's degree who are officers in the military. That's not the image.
Zamore Bird says the final straw was when her ex-husband struck her then 9-year-old son, who tried to break up their fight.
And so where I didn't love myself enough to leave, I loved my child enough to say no more.
The fight left her with injuries all over.
I had bruises on my face. I had bruises to my mouth, to my cheek, to my rib cage.
When she was finally ready to leave, she didn't know who to call locally. She had just moved to the Fort Hood area. So Zamore Bird says she reached out to sorority sisters across the country.
And so it was even scarier, right, going through the situation here, not knowing anyone.
Sergeant Carrie Ann Harris with the Killeen Police Department realizes this is common for this area.
So we see a lot of those instances as well where they have no support, so they feel like this is where they have to stay because the abuser is the only support that they have.
If things are going to get better, victim advocates say we need to be vocal.
Domestic violence has always thrived in silence.
We have to discuss what healthy relationships look like in churches, in schools, in different agencies, and also create safe spaces so that victims feel comfortable coming forward.
Zamore Bird wears many hats as a licensed clinical social worker and the director of field social work at UMHB. She spends most of her time preparing the next generation of social workers, often sharing her own personal experience.
I think my quest now, even with my students here, is to be real so that others can heal.
She's also an author, a playwright, and a screenwriter, sharing her darkest days as a way to educate the public.
To really tell the story and give a picture of what domestic violence looked like, from the verbal, the emotional, to the physical.
She says she wants people to know they are not alone and that help is always available. Now, there are so many resources available for those going through domestic abuse. We have a list of organizations in the Central Texas area that will walk you through the process of leaving. Advocates will accompany you to the police if you want, explain how the legal system works, and help you secure safe housing. You can find all that information and more on our website. And Jasmine, the thing that struck me the most when I was talking to Carrie Ann, she said, there's an unfair question that is always asked in domestic abuse situations. Why don't you leave? And she says, that's not fair. Turn the question around. Ask the abuser, why do you abuse?
That is good. I have known Carrie Ann Zamora Bird for, many years, and I don't think I knew her story until, you just told it. But very brave woman. I definitely agree with her. We always ask the victim questions,
And there's always more to the story, right? You love this person. This is your person, or you thought was your person. You may have kids together. They may be the person who brings in all the money and you don't have money to leave. So I just want ladies and men out there to know, if you are getting abused, there are resources here in Texas. Carrie Ann says she didn't know about that when she moved here. And so I do not want anyone else to be in that same situation.
For sure. Get help.
Yeah, please find those resources on our website.